Logan began to explain the background to Jungkook, hoping to shed light on the situation. Logan, you know, your mom came from a very wealthy family and she was a successful businesswoman. The company you work for, the one you now own, was actually built by your mom. The house you live in, your mom owned that too. She owned the company and the house, even the farmhouse, is your mom's property. Jungkook listened in shock. His eyes widened as he absorbed this information. Logan, on the other hand, Mr. Jeon came from a humble background, but your mom fell in love with him and they started dating. After just 1 month, they got married. Your mom not only gave him a job in her company, but she also gave him a high ranking position. She even shared her house with him. Jungkook's expression grew serious as he took the complex history of his parents' relationship. Jungkook, I didn't knew this. I mean, I knew my mom was a businesswoman and managed our company, but I wasn't aware of all this. But still, these things don't prove that my father is involved in her case. And why would he even do that? Logan persisted in trying to make Jungkook understand. Logan, listen Jungkook, your father wanted her property. Jungkook chuckled at the idea. Jungkook, oh please, my father put all his property in my name. Are you suggesting he is after more property? Logan sighed in frustration. Logan, I guess you didn't hear me properly. Logan continued to explain the intricate details to Jungkook. Logan, all the property you have actually belongs to your mother. She was the rightful owner of everything. Despite giving your father a high-ranking position, a lavish mansion, and a prestigious position in the society, she never transferred her property into his name. According to your mother's will, all her property was to pass on to her son after her death, which means you, Jungkook. She even specified that after you, it would be inherited by your children or donated to an orphanage. So in the eyes of the world, she may have passed away. That's why her property was meant to come to you as per your mother's will. Jungkook listened, his surprise and realization growing. Jungkook felt overwhelmed by the weight of his revelation, his hand pressed against his forehead as he struggled to comprehend it all. Jungkook confused. But how did you know that my mom is still alive? Logan leaned in, sharing his uncertain belief. Logan, I am not 100% sure, but I am about 98% certain. Think, Jungkook, if your father wants her property, he would need to keep her alive. He could use her as a leverage to gain control of everything. Killing you would not work because your property would be donated. Moreover, the body in the car accident was burned beyond recognition, making identification impossible. So, there is still a possibility that your mom is alive. I have been trying to find her for the past few months after her accident, but I couldn't. Jungkook processed all the information and stood up, his determination and seriousness evident in his posture and voice. Jungkook determined and serious. I'll find out if she is alive. And if it turns out my father is behind all this, I'll not spare him. And if I discover that you were lying, I won't spare you either. His resolve was firm and he was prepared to uncover the truth and take actions no matter the consequences. Logan stood up, offering Jungkook a reassuring smile. Logan, sure. Jungkook, his mind racing with determination, and nodded. Jungkook, but I need to plan everything carefully. I need to find my mom. Logan corrected him with a supportive tone. Logan, we need to find your mom. Jungkook nodded in determination. Logan, I am with you, Jungkook, and I have a plan. We can try this plan and see if it works or not. Jungkook's serious expression shifted into one of readiness as Logan began to outline the plan. The two of them united in their mission to uncover the truth and locate Jungkook's missing mom. As night fell, Jungkook returned home and retreated to his room. Deep in the thought, his serious expression didn't go unnoticed by you, and with concern in your eyes, you couldn't help but jump onto the bed and sit in his lap. You looked at him intently, your questions pouring out, wine concerned and serious. What happened, Cookie? Did you meet that person? Who was he? Do you know him? What did he say? Was he really joking? Your rapid fire questions filled the room, but then Jungkook's expression shifted and he chuckled, a soft smile gracing his lips. Jungkook smiling playfully. Yeah, baby, please calm down. You are asking me so many questions all at once. Ask me one by one. How can I answer them all together? His playful response brought a sense of relief, and you couldn't help but smile as well. Vine. Yeah, I was just concerned and curious. Don't make fun of me. You pouted. Jungkook softly and gently cupped your face with his hands. Jungkook. I wasn't making fun of you, Vine. You just reminded me of my mom. She used to ask me so many questions all at once whenever I came back from school. She would ask me, how was your day? Did you finish your lunch? How was it? How did your test go today? How did you score? And so much more. As he spoke, Jungkook's eyes welled up with tears and you instinctively hugged him, feeling a deep connection between the two of you. You comforted Jungkook by gently patting his shoulder as tears streamed down his face. Jungkook while crying, Why this happened to me? Why did she leave me? Why can't I meet her? Why isn't she with me? Why? Please tell me, am I so bad that everybody I love leaves me? I loved my mom and she left me. I even loved my dad. I know I had my issues with him, but deep down, I really loved him. And now he. You looked at him, your confusion evident in your eyes as he sobbed. Jungkook sobbing. You won't leave me, right? You'll always stay with me, right? You gently cupped his face. Vine. No, Cookie, I'll never leave you, no matter what. So please calm yourself. And you are not a bad person. Sometimes there are things we can't control. So we should not blame ourselves, Cookie. Jungkook looked at you as you gently wiped his tears away. Jungkook, I can't even say that I'm not lucky because I have you by my side. I'm really lucky to have you, Vine. You have always been there for me, no matter the situation. Vine, and I will always be with you in future too. So don't worry. He gazed at you deeply with his teary bunny eyes and you covered your face with your hands. You dramatically. Please, don't look at me like that. I am getting shy. Jungkook chuckled and swiftly laid you down on the bed, hovering above you, your foreheads almost touching, your face just millimeters apart, your nose touching each other. He was gazing at you when your cheeks turned pink. Jungkook smirked. Now you're blushing for real. You pushed him lightly and sat on the bed. Jungkook couldn't resist a playful smirk. Jungkook smirking. Yeah, what happened, baby? Don't you want to blush some more? Vine blushing. Oh please, don't tease me, Jungkook. He chuckled softly. Vine. Yeah, tell me, what did that person said? When you asked about the conversation, Jungkook's expression turned serious and he proceeded to tell you everything. Jungkook told you everything about what Logan told him. You were taken aback, not knowing how to react to the weight of the situation, Vine concerned and worried. Jungkook, what if your dad is really behind all of this? And what if your mom is truly alive? Jungkook looked at you, his expression serious and silent. You reached out and gently held his hand. Vine. Jungkook hummed in response. Vine. Don't stress. I know it's a tough time for you, but believe that everything will be alright. I trust you and I know you will uncover the hidden truth. Jungkook looked at you, a smile breaking through his seriousness. Jungkook. Yeah, Vine. I'll definitely find out the truth. And I truly hope my mom is alive. Vine. Yeah, Jungkook, I hope so too. In that moment, you both shared a heartfelt embrace, finding solace and strength in each other's presence. The next day, you, Jungkook, and Mr. John found yourself at the breakfast table. The atmosphere was tense and the silence hung in the air until Jungkook finally spoke. Jungkook serious. Dad, I want to talk to you about something important. Mr. John looked at him, his expression curious and attentive. Mr. John, yes, Jungkook, what's on your mind, my son? Jungkook's words took you by surprise, and you were left stunned and confused, but you remained silent, waiting for the conversation to unfold. Jungkook, determined, Dad, I want to return your property. Mr. John's confusion deepened. Mr. John confused. What happened, Jungkook? Why are you talking like this? The tension in the room was palpable as father and son began a conversation that could potentially change everything. Emotions ran high as the weight of the situation settled in. Jungkook, Dad, that property is yours, and I don't think I deserve it. I want to build my business from the ground up without relying on anyone's support. I want to start from the scratch and create my own empire. Both you and Mr. John were shocked by Jungkook's unexpected decision. Mr. John tried to reassure his son. Mr. John, Jungkook, this property is also yours. Why are you thinking like that? But it's okay. I can understand your feelings. Go ahead, and I know you will be very successful. I am proud of you, my son. Mr. John smiled warmly, and Jungkook returned the smile. You observed Jungkook closely, still uncertain about what was truly going on in his mind. After breakfast, Mr. John excused himself and went to his room. Jungkook then led you to your room, where he began to explain the plan in more detail. Jungkook, I know, Vine, you must be wondering what I am doing, but this is all the part of our plan. Firstly, I will tell Dad that I want to name the property under his name. If he is really behind my mom's disappearance, he will see this as an opportunity to get what he wants, and he might try to harm her since she would be of no use to him. That's when Mr. Logan and I will follow him and hopefully find my mom. It's a simple plan, but we are hoping it works. You listened carefully, your face reflecting your understanding and determination. Vine, yes, Jungkook, I hope this plan succeeds. But please be careful. If Dad is truly involved, he might try to harm you too. Jungkook gently cupped your face. Jungkook, don't worry, Vine. I will be okay. I have already assigned someone to keep an eye on him, to track his movements and activities. He mostly stays at home, so whenever he goes out, I will follow him. You looked at him with concern but nodded nonplussly. Jungkook, don't worry, baby. Your cookie is strong enough to protect himself. He gave you a reassuring smile and you hugged him tightly, emotions running deep as you both prepared to face the uncertainties that laid ahead. On the same evening, Jungkook received information that Mr. John was about to leave the house. He quickly armed himself with a gun for protection, ready to follow his father. However, you stopped him in his track. Vine concerned, I want to come with you, Jungkook. Jungkook looked at you with worry etched on his face. Jungkook, no, Vine, it's too dangerous and I don't want to put you in danger. Please stay here. Vine, but Jungkook, Vine, please understand. Let me handle this alone. Stay here and take care. You reluctantly nodded, understanding his concern for your safety. Vine, take care, Cookie. He quickly kissed your forehead and rushed towards his car to follow Mr. John. Jungkook promptly called Mr. Logan, informed him of the situation and sent him his location. Mr. Logan began to follow Jungkook's car as well. Mr. John eventually stopped his car in front of a dark, silent warehouse and he went inside. Jungkook followed closely behind, parked his car nearby. Jungkook in his mind while sitting in the car. There is definitely something wrong here. Mr. Logan also parked his car and joined Jungkook outside. They exchanged determined glances. Jungkook, let's go inside. Logan nodded and together they prepared to enter the warehouse, their hearts pounding with anticipation and uncertainty. Emotions ran high as they stepped into the unknown. On the other hand, your worry for him was too overwhelming to ignore, so you rushed to your car, trying to convince yourself that you were only going to check on him and make sure he was okay. Vine convincing herself, I'm not putting myself in danger, I'm just going to reassure myself that Jungkook is fine. What if he need my help? I should go. but I won't show myself to him. He will scold me for not listening, but I can't help worrying about him. After all, everything is fair in love and war, right? You tracked Jungkook's location and drove to the scene. When you arrived, you spotted both Logan and Jungkook's car parked nearby. Your heart raced with a mixture of fear and determination as you gathered the courage to enter the unknown. Vine in her mind. You have put yourself in a tricky situation, Vine. You have to hide not only from Mr. Jeon but also from Jungkook. With these thoughts swirling in your mind, you cautiously proceeded inside. Jungkook and Logan silently crept inside, and what they witnessed tore their hearts apart. Mrs. Jeon was tied to a chair, her frail figure struggling to keep her eyes open. Mr. Jeon had placed a chair in front of her and sat there with an evil grin on his face. Seeing his mother in such a helpless and weakened state filled Jungkook with a mixture of emotions of hurt, sadness, anger, and pain. Tears welled up in his eyes as he gazed upon her. Mr. Jeon evil smiled. Darling, I have some exciting news for you today. Mrs. Jeon weakly glanced at Mr. Jeon. Mr. Jeon, your son told me today that he is going to give me all his property. Quite interesting, isn't it? I didn't even have to do anything. The prey came to the hunter willingly. He chuckled evilly. Mr. Jeon, and now I don't need you anymore. Did you think that if you didn't transfer the property to my name, I wouldn't be able to get what I want? Huh? Say something, darling. Mrs. Jeon remained silent, just looking at Mr. Jeon. Mr. Jeon angrily grabbed her hair and brought his face close to hers. Mr. Jeon, you are showing me attitude, huh? Well, I won't say much today because I am in a good mood. So, I'll put an end to your suffering today. He smirked wickedly, pulling her hair with one hand while drawing a gun from his pocket with the other, slowly moving the barrel from her forehead to her chin. You had been hidden behind the pillars, witnessing the terrifying scene unfold. When Mr. Jeon heard a voice from behind, his eyes widened in shock. Jungkook filled with anger. Leave her! Mr. Jeon turned to see Jungkook standing there, a gun in his hand with Logan at his side. Mr. Jeon was completely stunned by his unexpected turn of events. Mr. Jeon confused. Jungkook? What are you doing here? Jungkook gave him a deadly glare. Jungkook, you didn't expected this, did you, Mr. Jeon? Mr. Jeon remained speechless, his gaze now locked on Jungkook, but Jungkook's attention quickly turned to his mother, who looked at him with teary eyes. Tears welled up in Jungkook's eyes as he was overwhelmed with emotions. Jungkook, with teary eyes, called out to his mother. Jungkook, tearful, Mom? Tears streamed down Mrs. Jeon's cheeks as she gazed at her son, her eyes filled with a mix of relief and sorrow. Jungkook couldn't bear to see his mother in such a dreadful condition. His anger and disbelief were directed towards Mr. Jeon. Jungkook, filled with anger, shouting, Dad, how could you do this? How could you do this to my mom? Mr. Jeon shamelessly laughed and taunted Jungkook. Mr. Jeon, Dad? I am not your dad, Jungkook. Jungkook was utterly confused by Mr. Jeon's claim. Mr. Jeon, well, now that you know my secret, let me tell you the truth. I am not your father, you are not my son. Your mom betrayed me. She was pregnant before our marriage, but she didn't tell me. She hid the secret from me, and you know what? I found out on the day when your mother's accident, or should I say, fake accident occurred. I wanted revenge, so I kidnapped her and tortured her. I staged her death, making the world believe that she was dead. On that day, I struck her on the head with the rod while she was talking to her ex. Jungkook was in shock. The revelation was overwhelming. He had grown up believing Mr. Jeon as his father, and now it all crumbled. You, hidden nearby, couldn't believe your ears. You watched Jungkook's emotional turmoil, your heart aching for him as he absorbed these painful truths. Mr. Jeon continued to drop another bombshell. Mr. Jeon, Not only that, do you know who your real father is? Jungkook looked at him in astonishment. John Logan. Jungkook's gaze shifted towards Logan, who looked down, unable to meet Jungkook's eyes. Jungkook was overwhelmed by a whirlwind of emotions: stress, shock, hurt, and confusion, to name just a few. Jungkook was deeply shocked and hurt upon learning the truth, making it difficult for him to accept. Mr. John quickly approached Mrs. John, placing a gun to her forehead. Mr. John, if you want your mom to stay alive, then name the property in my name. Jungkook became increasingly worried for his mom's safety. Jungkook, angry and serious, don't you dare to harm her. Mr. John, I'm not joking, Jungkook. Go and bring the property papers and sign them. Jungkook, torn between anger and fear for his mother's life, reluctantly agreed. Jungkook, worried and angry, wait, don't do anything to her. I will sign the papers. Mr. John smiled victoriously. Mr. John, good boy. Now go and bring the papers. The tense situation was filled with intense emotion and fear. In the tense moment, you emerged from behind the pillars and swiftly pushed Mr. John, causing him to fall to the ground. Jungkook was taken aback by your sudden action, but he rushed over to you and his mother. You began untying Mrs. John's hand, focused on ensuring her safety. However, Mr. John, in desperate move, grabbed his gun and fired it in Jungkook's direction. The room filled with shock as everyone turned their attention to the sound of the gunshot.